Hello. Wow. Call me Daddy. Let me check. It's the sneakers on. Yeah, I wasn't talking to you. Other people. There's other people. Are you seriously asking me that? Why would you ask me that? Meaning
right, hello everybody. This is my first time doing the Zoom class, so you'll have to bear with me if I have some technical difficulties here. Oh. All right, I heard a lot of you already chatting in there. I think I muted quite a few of you, but, ooh, and you unmuted yourself. I know you guys can do that. So here's the rules kind of that we're going to have for well, we'll get the rules in a second, but I'm glad to see you guys. It's been a while. Some of you guys have your own code names on here, so I don't know who you are, but at least I can see your faces. But when we are having the lesson, please do not unmute yourself unless I unmute you to answer a question or something like that. I will open it up for group chats sometime. Go ahead and put any comments you want in the chat. That's fine. Any questions you may have, but besides that, do not unmute yourself. But if you have your Bibles, not your Bibles, but your books with you, go ahead and hold your books up to the screen. Who has that? Wow, look at that. Quite a few, quite a few. Good, good, good. Jed's got his. Wow, even Gustavo's got his. He doesn't even bring that to normal class, but he brought it to online class. I'm impressed. All right, good job, guys. You can put those down. Make sure you bring those to every class if you can, but I'm going to do a quick attendance roll. So go ahead and unmute yourself for the attendance. I give you permission to unmute yourself, okay? All right, so call out if you are here. Ngozi, not present. Oh, she's here. Oh, okay, I hear you. Oh, look, your name's right there. All right, Ngozi's right there. Good, good, good. Make sure you show your face if you can for some interaction there. I see a lot of your screens are off, but if you're able to, show your face. All right, keep logging in. There you guys go. Good job, good job. All right, so we got Ngozi. She said she was here. How about Arthur? He's Beetlejuice? Yeah. All right, can we see your face, Arthur? I don't remember you looking like that. There we go. Y'all got backgrounds of people on there. All right. Philip? Philip? Yeah. All right. After you've been checked in, you can go ahead and mute yourself, but keep your face on the screen. Caleb Demores? Kalebe? You're here? All right. Awesome. Gustavo, I saw you here. Kathleen, I saw you here. Mark, I saw you here. Joanna. Here. Oh, there she is. Great. All right, Megan. Megan Grady. All right, Megan's not logged in. Maybe she's got something going on. All right, Brianna. Hello, hi. All right, Musa. Musa's here. Jed. Here. Right there. Okay, hey Jed. Nicholas Linnick. Oh, I see you up there, Nicholas. Fixing your hair. Caleb Love. Oh, he's here in the kitchen. All right, Abel. Abel, did you make yourself an egg for breakfast this morning?
No, I made myself.
All right, mute yourself, Philip. All right, we'll mute you now, Abel. Okay, and Nicholas Ruzan. You're here? All right. Evan Souza on TV, right? Yep, he's here, so, okay. And Ashley Tar. I see here in the comments. So yes, Avo did win that little challenge, but you are correct. That was the best cooking one. But I'm gonna go ahead and ask you guys to all mute yourself for this next portion of the lesson, and then if I have a question, I'll unmute you and you can answer. But go ahead and mute yourselves for this time, please. All right, Mark, you know how to mute yourself, bud? Nick, gonna mute you for you. You look busy with your phone, so I'll mute you. All right. Do you have a question there, Musa? It looks like your hand's raised.
It is?
I'll put your hand down for you. There we go. So I'm testing this out too. I'm figuring it out. Oh, that's okay, Musa. But are you gonna come in and get it? You plan on coming to get it soon?
No.
Please do. We will sanitize it for you. Yeah, write the notes in so you know what to fill in. That'll be good. But if you don't have your books, please get them by Thursday, okay? I'm going to go ahead and mute Musa so everybody will be muted now. All right, so you mute yourself, Nick. That's the bell. So here's what we're going to do. It's going to be 1 point for your participation in the class, all right? So that is showing up to it. Will be that, or showing up will be 1 point to it. Another point will be if you have your audio and video set up as best as possible, all right? So right now, Evan, I know you don't have a screen to go off of. That's okay, but the rest of you have to keep your face on the screen, all right? If it's possible, so that we can interact. That means I should be seeing Ashley Tar if possible. I should be seeing Ngozi if possible, okay? So make sure you guys are logged in if you can. If you can't, Ashley and Ngozi, let me know why in the comments. But please log in if you can. Another participation. Go ahead, Evan. Yeah.
The thing about the camera, that might change, like stars or
Okay.
depends if the model is
Okay, cool. Well, that'd be great if you could get that working, but I understand now. I'm not going to count you off points for it, okay? Very good. Ashley Tar, great that you're logged in, okay? And then I'm going to have to put a little barrier on the backgrounds too, all right? If you have your favorite guy in the background, you at least have to be wearing a shirt. So Arthur, change your background if you can, okay? Ashley's got like 2 profiles on here. That's strange. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started with class, but I kind of let you guys, thank you, Arthur, kind of let you guys know what my expectations are this class period, and on Thursday, I'm definitely going to be checking up on those. So on Thursday, make sure you have audio and video if you can. Make sure you have your Bibles with you. Make sure you have an appropriate background, and also I'm going to be counting off points for your participation grade on ThinkWave if you constantly interrupt the class or try to screen share or anything like that. So make sure we're not doing anything like that. Don't hijack my screen, okay? I'd suspend you and tell you to go home, but I don't think it really works that way. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started with the same curriculum we've been going over, Route 66. If you guys remember, we're actually at a pretty good stopping point because we just finished the book of Malachi. We just finished the Old Testament there, okay? So if you have your book, Avo, make sure you're taking notes. If you can grab that, have a pen or a pencil with you to try to fill that in. But we're going to go ahead and start on the new lesson, the New Testament, which is the Gospels, okay? So go ahead and turn to lesson 44, lesson 44. And once you have found lesson 44 in your book, hold up a peace sign, all right? Show me a peace sign if you're on lesson 44, okay? All right, I got a few. Good, good, good. All right, so we're going to start right there on lesson 44. You'll see the title is Gospels or Great News. And I don't think we'll get all the way through this lesson today because this class only goes from 12 to 12:30. So it looks like we have 18 minutes to get as far as we can in this lesson, okay? But, Abel, do you have a question? Are you raising your hand? All right. You can wait 18 minutes, Abel. I know you can, all right? So just stay on your screen for 18 minutes, and then you will have a chance to go. Sorry, man. All right, so please don't ask any more questions unless it's urgent or I call on you. I'll try to get some interaction with calling on you, okay? Make sure your face shows on the screen if possible. All right. Very good, very good. I see a lot of you. All right, so here we go. The word gospel means good news. You guys have probably heard that in Sunday school before. The word gospel means good news. And Jesus brought good news from God. That's the good news it's talking about, the message that Jesus gave when he came to earth. That's kind of the theme of the New Testament. That's why we mentioned it, and especially the first 4 Gospels of the New Testament, all right? So this is on page 211, And each of the 4 Gospels is unique. You know that the 4 Gospels are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So we know that the 4 Gospels are unique, and each book presents a different viewpoint of the gospel story, all right? So it's all these people telling a different version of it. So let's say we had a basketball game and Nicholas made the game-winning free throw. Nicholas Rizan did, and then Gustavo told me the story, Abel told me the story, Jed told me the story, and Caleb told me the story. All four of them would have their different point of view, all right? Some of them may be in the stands. They saw it from the stands. Maybe somebody was on the court when they saw it. Maybe somebody was on the bench when they saw it, okay? So they all have their different points of view when they saw him make the game-winning point, all right? So with that being said, that's kind of how the gospel die and resurrect from the dead. So that is what the gospels are all about, these 4 different points of views, and it's interesting to see how they differ from one another, how one person's point of view is completely different from the others, but they all correspond with each other. They don't contradict another. We know it's truthful because these 4 people told the same story, and they all line up with each other, even though it's from different points of view. So the Gospels comprise of 89 chapters, all right? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John make up 89 chapters whole. And 4 cover the first 30 years of Christ's life. 85 cover the last 3 years of Christ's life. And 27 of these 85 chapters cover the last 8 days of Christ's life. The emphasis of the Gospels is clearly the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ. So here's the first one we're going to look at is Matthew, the first book of the New Testament is Matthew. So here's the first blank you guys get to fill in your online Zoom class 2020, okay? Bottom of page 211, Matthew wrote to the Jews. Matthew wrote to the Jews. I see some of you writing. Make sure you get those blanks in. Matthew wrote to the Jews. All right, hold your hand up if you got that blank filled in. Good, good, good. All right, he used 93 quotations from the Old Testament. He used 93 quotations in his gospel from the Old Testament. And why did he do this? He did it to prove that Jesus was the promised king. Prove that Jesus was the promised king. There's a lot of studies and a lot of skeptics who say the Messiah in the Old Testament, the prophecy that was given, was not fulfilled by Jesus. They don't think that Jesus was the true Messiah. Some religions still are looking for the Messiah. They don't think he's come just yet. They don't think the prophecy has been fulfilled yet. So the reason that Matthew did 93 quotations is that was his way of trying to prove that Jesus was the promised king. So that sentence should say in your notes, he used 93 quotations from the Old Testament to prove that Jesus was the promised king. That Jesus was the promised king. He showed the Jews that Jesus fulfilled the Old Testament. The next blank, he showed the Jews that Jesus fulfilled the Old Testament prophecies. All right, guys, stop messing with your backgrounds and pay attention, okay? Everybody keep your background the same from now on, all right? He showed the Jews that Jesus fulfilled the Old Testament prophecies about the Messiah, about the Messiah. So you guys should have all of that little paragraph insert filled out. I'll read it one more time completely in case you missed it. Matthew wrote to the Jews, used the 93 quotations from the Old Testament to prove that Jesus was the promised king. He showed the Jews that Jesus fulfilled the Old Testament prophecies about the Messiah, proving that Jesus came from the family of King David. Know that Jesus came from the family of King David. All right. Proving that Jesus came from the family of King David was Matthew's first step in proving that Jesus was the promised Messiah. Ashley raised her hand, yes. Ashley, I unmuted you. No, I didn't. There you go.
What is after about the?
About the Messiah. About the Messiah. Please let me know if there's any technical difficulties as well. If somebody hijacked me, this is my first time doing it, so I don't even know if this is working or not, but it seems to be working. So, all right. Thank you, Ashley, for that. Oh, you guys can do a thumbs up. That's pretty cool. All right. Very nice. Different emotes all over the place. Anyway, sorry. I get distracted easily. So we got that one filled out. Number 5, proving that Jesus came from the family of King David was Matthew's first step in proving that Jesus was the promised Messiah, the promised Messiah. If you ever talked to a person who believes in the Jewish religion, a lot of them do not necessarily believe that Jesus was the Messiah. They believe he was maybe a great prophet, a great person, but they're still waiting for the original Messiah. A lot of interesting things that go into their beliefs there, so that's great to look into. But we believe that the gospel is true, that Jesus was the Messiah. Matthew focused on the teachings of Jesus. Matthew focused on the teachings of Jesus. So everything Jesus said through his ministry, the preaching that he gave, the lessons he gave, the parables, the stories, Matthew witnessed all of that. And then Matthew put it into his book, the book of Matthew, and he shared it with all of us so we can read that even today. And you know, back then they didn't have any computers. They couldn't type it all out or anything like that. So they just had to write it handwritten. So it was like keeping a diary almost. Any of you guys keep a diary? Put a thumbs up if you keep a diary. I highly doubt any of you do that. Thumbs down. Can you do a thumbs down? Yeah, you guys are like, what? I don't even like doing homework, let alone keep a diary. Or my life is just too boring. Or sorry, guys, it's not a diary for you. It's a journal. It's a journal if you're a guy, all right? Diary if you're a girl. Anyway, we'll continue on with that because Matthew kind of wrote a journal of everything he witnessed from Jesus, everything he learned from Jesus. All right, Musa, we know you're an artist, but you got to put your art away, okay? We don't want to see your art right now. Turn it in for the talent competition for the teen group, though. Anyway, Matthew focused on the teachings of Jesus. He recorded more parables of the kingdom than any other gospel writer. He recorded more parables of the kingdom than any other gospel writer. And you remember, parables are like the stories that Jesus told, like the illustrations that Jesus told to help people understand. And they weren't true stories. The parables were usually made up stories, all right? If it wasn't a parable, then he would say that it wasn't a parable, okay? But they're usually his stories. Matthew recorded a lot of them. He also recorded his account of the Sermon on the Mount. Sermon on the Mount. So make sure you get that right before the next section, that his account of the Sermon on the Mount, chapters 5 through 7, is more complete than Luke's account. So Matthew in his gospel gave more information on the Sermon on the Mount than Luke's account did. All right, so you guys should have all of those points filled out. Did anybody miss anything up to the gospel according to Mark? So they covered Matthew in that page and a quarter. Did anybody miss any blanks there? Okay. Oh, I see Squidward has his hand raised. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Gustavo. List from Matthew to account. Okay, it was Matthew focused on the teachings of Jesus. He recorded more parables. His account of the Sermon on the Mount is more complete than Luke's account. More complete than Luke's account. Man, you guys are blowing up the chat. I feel like a live streamer or something. Oh my word. Mute yourself, Gustavo. Man, this is so weird that we're doing this, but anyway. All right, the next section, the gospel according to Mark. Behold my servant. Should I check your guys' chat? Make sure there's nothing inappropriate going on in there. Make sure you guys keep it appropriate, okay? I'll read it later. No, don't read. Ooh, that makes me want to read it even more now. Maybe I should turn off chat. 99 messages? Are you guys even listening? Anyway, we're going to continue on now. We got to kind of stay focused for the people who might watch on YouTube later, okay? So if you're on the YouTube or Zoom, we're on page 212 right now, and we're under the Gospel according to Mark. Historical evidence suggests that Mark wrote the Gospel to the Romans. Mark wrote the Gospel to the Romans. So we saw Matthew wrote to the Jewish people, and Mark wrote to the Romans. All right, we got 5 more minutes. Yes. He probably wrote it while in Rome. That's easy to remember. Wrote it to the Romans, and he wrote it while he was in Rome. He was explaining the Jewish terms and customs. A cool thing about the Gospels and who they were written to is they were written to certain audiences by people that could relate to it, all right? So if somebody wrote you something, wrote you a letter, you would probably be more willing to read it if it was one of your friends, all right? If it was someone else in this chat, you'd probably be more willing to read it, to take a look at it. If some stranger who you didn't know tried to tell you something, you'd be a lot less likely to believe them or to understand them. So it's kind of cool how the Gospels were written by 4 different people to 4 different groups of people. All right, so the Jewish people are going to kind of listen to Matthew's writings more, where the Romans will listen to Mark's writings more. I am going to read the chat, okay, Nick? I can see it right now. Explaining Jewish terms and customs, Mark reported the simple facts of Jesus' life. He gave little interpretation. All right, so make sure you're following along, getting the blanks in. Mark reported the simple facts of Jesus' life. He gave a little interpretation. I just said that. Each event was described as if Mark was an eyewitness, or as if he got his information from an eyewitness. So write that both down there as eyewitnesses, okay? Both down as eyewitnesses, both those blanks. So these people weren't just talking about rumors. They weren't just talking about stories that were passed down for years and years. They're talking about eyewitness accounts, okay? They're talking about things they actually saw. Musa, keep your nose out of the camera. One of Mark's keywords is the Greek word that is usually translated as straightway or immediately. Straightway or immediately. So that's the next two blanks. And it occurs 40 times. It occurs 40 times. Put a thumbs up on the screen if you're keeping up with the notes okay. All right, Jed's keeping up. Good, good. Musa is good, good. Kathleen, good job. Ashley, keep up. Your classmates are. I know you're faster than them. All right, the next couple blanks before we end, all right? We got 2 more minutes. All right. Brief and to the point, Mark writes with a sense of urgency, According to Mark, the time for the Jews, Romans, and Greeks to come to Christ is now. A lot of blanks there, so I'll repeat it. Brief and to the point, Mark writes with a sense of urgency. According to Mark, the time for the Jews, Romans, and Greeks to come to Christ is now. To come to Christ is now. All right, so, hello? Uh-oh, that's not good. There we go. I think I went off the screen for a second. Last couple blanks here. If you got all those, I repeated it twice, so hopefully you got it. What is different about where Mark begins his story and where Matthew and Luke begin theirs? Compare and contrast the first few chapters of each gospel, okay? So we're not going to do that as an assignment. That's a little hard to do over video, but I hope you guys got all the blanks there. We'll sign off in just a second here, but please bring your books and your Bibles to every class, hopefully. If you didn't get the blanks, hopefully you did. You can go watch it back on YouTube where I gave all the blanks if you're really that desperate for it. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is working better than I thought it would. I'm surprised to see so many of you. So you guys can go ahead and unmute yourself and say goodbye to each other for this class if you want to. All right. Bye, YouTube stream. Can you leave? You can